Don't forget to check out and grab your copy of our 2 newly released books, Football, a Love Story, and What Did Football Teach Me? These books feature over 100 stories from current and former coaches, players, executives, and entertainers from across the football landscape, describing what got them involved in the game, what they love about it, and what life lessons the game taught them. You can find your copy or order your copy from our website at footballgameplan.com/books.
Welcome to Football Game Plans Talking with TD. I'm your host, Teron Davenport.
Welcome to FootballGamePlan.com. I am Teron Davenport. Talking with TD is the segment. We're going to bring in tight end Matt Weiser from Buffalo. Matt, how's it going?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing really well, man. I appreciate you coming on. I always like to talk shop with players that are very well-rounded. And looking at what you bring to the table, I think you do bring a well-rounded game. You played a little bit of receiver in high school. Talk about the transition, just going from the receiver to tight end, and just how you were able to make that transition and do it so successfully.
Technically, I was a tight end in high school, but like you said, I really was more of a wide receiver. They split me out a bunch and just let me kind of use my size to go up against smaller cornerbacks. So I didn't block that much in high school, so that was the biggest transition for me going into college. I really had to focus on my blocking. There was a lot of technique work that I focused on, just the footwork, the hand placement. And so over the last 4.5 years at the University of Buffalo, I really just focused on my blocking to kind of complete that whole aspect of the tight end game between pass catching and blocking.
Yeah, you mentioned the blocking side of things. I mean, that's something you had to do for quite a bit. And then against Nevada, you were unleashed, 10 receptions, 131 yards, so you definitely did your thing. What's the mindset? I mean, how do you have the patience to keep going and not being able to touch the football as much as you would like to?
It was hard because I really felt like I could bring a lot to the passing game, but our offense, we had so many options that I was asked to do more in the run game for blocking. And, for me, it was always about winning. It was about what was best for the team. So I had to put aside my desire to catch the football in order to open up for the run game. So I waited patiently, and thankfully, like you said, I was able to kind of show what I was able to do in the passing game this year.
So looking at your numbers, 65 receptions, 625 yards, 3 touchdowns, obviously a very productive player when it comes to catching the football. What was it that allowed you to put up these type of numbers? What's your favorite routes, and how were you able to have this success?
Well, it helped that we got a new coaching staff this year that kind of allowed for me to be more involved in the passing game. They looked to create mismatches with me, so I did split out this year to get matched up against smaller corners, but a lot of times just from the attached tight end or in the slot to go against linebackers, we would use a lot of option routes that I could dictate my break depending on a linebacker's leverage. So I was able to use my knowledge of the game and understanding of the defense to understand where a linebacker was going and how I could leverage against him to get myself open.
Yeah, that's an awesome point. And I like how you mentioned the option routes. And one of the things that obviously has to happen when you're doing option routes is you have to be on the same page with the quarterback. So let's talk about that. Just the time and the effort and what you had to do to get on that same page to always, you guys both, you convert the route and he throws the route that you're supposed to convert. How did you work on that timing and get that to a point?
Absolutely. The timing's a big thing. And I had a quarterback that was the same age as me. We came in together, Joe Licata. He's a very accurate passer. And so we had 4.5 years together to really build that chemistry and understanding together. So whether it was over the summer, going and running extra routes, it was after practice or before practice, we just would go and we would throw and run routes every day just to create that chemistry, which made it possible to be able to run those option routes so effortlessly.
I tell you what, the importance as a former player, a receiver at that, the importance of running routes for your quarterback and doing it over and over again. A lot of people don't really understand how much that helps transfer to game day. So it's really good that you mentioned that because it's a valid point for sure. So looking at high school, right? You were a three-sport guy. You played center, right? And you did a little bit of high jump. Is that correct?
Yeah, center in basketball, high jump, and then I threw as well in track.
So when you look at the high jumping and playing center and the post, you're rebounding. How does that transfer to playing tight end or even a receiver? When you're flexed out wide, how does that transfer onto the football field?
The biggest thing I would say is just the body control. Understanding how I can leverage my body against someone. I can go up in the air. I can control my body in the air to protect the football from the defender. Just even in the routes, like a stick route, just being able to almost post up a guy and keep that defender away from the football when it was coming to me.
Yeah, it's really important to use your body and make them have to kind of go through you to get to the football. When you look at just your overall ability as a tight end, what would you say is the biggest asset that you bring to the table?
I think the biggest asset I bring is just the mismatches I can create. I feel like I can do a little bit of everything for someone. If you want me to block, I'll stick my nose in there and I'll block in the run game. If you want me to get split out and create a mismatch against a smaller cornerback, I can do that. I think I've got enough speed that I can beat linebackers. So I think just the overall aspect of being able to create mismatches, I think, is what helps me the most.
Now, I know that there's been a few teams that have actually showed some interest in you. Not asking you what teams in particular, but just as far as the feedback that you've gotten, what are some of the things that they've said that they really like about your game? What are some areas of improvement?
Talking to the teams, they really like my pass catching ability, my ability to understand soft spots in defenses and just the leverage on defenders. And then areas to improve, just point of attack blocking, just be able to take that D end and help out in the run game to create extra lanes for the running back.
So when it comes to the training and everything that you've been doing leading up to your pro day, what were some of the things that you were looking to improve upon personally as far as your physical skill set is concerned?
This whole training process, a lot of people are saying nowadays that the tight ends are losing the ability to block. So I really focus on footwork and hand placement in blocking. I worked with an O-line coach, so I was really focused on that foot technique and the hand technique just to be able to get leverage inside of the defender and be able to create those running lanes for the running backs, and then just overall strength and speed. We've grown up lifting our entire lives, but this was a much more focused and technical lifting. It wasn't near much as putting up big weights. It was more how to create that explosiveness.
Yeah, that's a great point, because that's what it's all about, all the fast twitch. Where were you training?
I trained out in California, in Carlsbad.
Okay, out in the San Diego area. There you go. Were there any other prospects that you were training with? Who were some of the other guys that you had working out with you?
One of them was my teammate, John Kling, my starting left tackle. We had Greg Millhouse, who's a D-tackle from Campbell University, North Carolina. We had Mehdi Abdisman, he's a DN from Boston College. Alex Huddle, a center from Bowling Green. And then Yoski is a center from Utah.
Hey, Kling, he had talked. I talked to him earlier this month, and he was talking about Khalil Mack. What's your input from your perspective? Did you ever have to go against him in practice?
I went against Khalil for 2 years in a row. And, none of us are surprised about the success he's having. He's a great guy off the field, and on the field he's even better, obviously. You can see the work he's put in. Having a guy like him to kind of see what he did to get to where he is, it helps me to know just how much hard work it is. It's great because he comes back and he talks to us and kind of gives us little pointers and things to focus on.
So growing up, were there any particular teams that you rooted for as a young buck?
Growing up, I grew up in PA, so the house was kind of divided on the Steelers and the Eagles. So I kind of grew up with both, but being closer to Philly, kind of more of an Eagles fan.
Any particular players? Chad Lewis?
Actually, I grew up loving Brian Dawkins.
B-Duck. Okay, there you go. A defensive back. The safety, he brings it. So just as far as going into the next level? I mean, do you see yourself as more of an inline guy? You see yourself as a guy flex, or do you more or less think that you're just the full package, whereas you could be used either way?
I want to be the guy that can be used either way. I have a great pride in my pass catching ability. I think that I bring a lot to the table in that aspect, but I really want to be known as a guy who can do everything.
So at your 6'5", what did you weigh in at? 245, 255?
245 for Friday, yeah.
245. So with that size, as well as your box out ability, how are you as a red zone threat? I mean, what type of problems can you present to defenses when you're in the red zone?
I think I can create a lot. I've got the ability to just have the quarterback throw the ball up in the air, and I'm going to go up and get it over top of anybody. I can also just do those nice little short sit-down routes on the goal line and box the guy out and just let the quarterback check it down to me. So I had success in my career in the red zone. We didn't get as many opportunities as I would have liked, but the opportunities I did have, I think I made the most of them.
Is there a particular route that you like to run the most?
I like the corner routes or the fade routes are always fun, and then just those nice little stick out routes are always nice little easy routes too.
There you go. Let you use that big body. So
Absolutely.
when you're looking at the overall picture of the NFL itself, right? Is there a particular tight end that you would pick that you think epitomizes your game?
I grew up really loved watching Antonio Gates. He's got that basketball background just like I did. Just his ability to beat defenders in different ways, and he always secures the football, and he's not afraid to block either. So I really liked to watch Antonio Gates growing up, and I still do, obviously.
There you go. So just to wrap it up, as far as from now until the draft, how are things looking for you on the workout side of things? You have some visits and some interest from teams?
Yep, I've had a couple workouts, hoping to hear from some more teams, and it's just basically that grind right now to continue working out, getting better, and throwing with my quarterback every day, doing whatever I can to improve myself as much as I can before the draft.
There you have it, Matt. I appreciate you coming on. We'll definitely have to get you back on as we get closer to draft day and even afterwards. So I appreciate you coming on, man.
That wraps up this edition of Talking with TD. Be sure to check out all of my interview segments at footballgameplan.com/talkingwithtd. If you have any questions or people you want me to sit down with, hit me up on Twitter at @TDavenport_NFL.